Here with assistant football coach Jimmy Miller. Jimmy, an exciting 2012 season, and we're just about to get underway with the spring practices here in just a few days. But talk about how you continue to build that momentum from one year earlier this fall and now into the spring.
Well, I think it naturally kind of stems from our seniors, is that they kind of give us leadership within our team, and that filters down to our other kids. And I know a lot of our kids, the momentum that came off of the fall season went right into the weight room, and then I think that's transferring into what our seniors, what they've kind of built as a foundation of what they want this next year to look like, and then just this time together in the spring, being able to practice and get together and hang out again together. I think that's where the momentum comes from. So.
Yeah, and you talked about what the seniors are doing in the weight room, and even in that conversation, you get the joy of being with the defensive backs a lot of the time. Talk about some of the leadership there that you have and who you continue to see making progress.
Well, we have, J.D. Melhorn will be back this next year, and he's basically will be a 4-year starter, and he was an all-conference player last year, and he's a very, very bright player along with a very physical player, and so he brings the whole package. Is that he's a great leader for us in the secondary. And then we also have Davey Morgan coming back. Davey will have a year under his belt after starting last year and having a good year there. Is that we've talked about some things that he can work on in the off season, and he's been really stoked being in the weight room, getting after it a little bit, and he's really made some great progress in there. We got a freshman that was last year, Danny Lytle, who's also one of our rovers or safeties, and he kind of reminds me a lot of JD. Very, very bright, understands the game really well, and is really physical. And he just recently had a hernia surgery, so I don't know what he's going to be able to do in the spring here. And then at the corner position, we have Josh Trimer back after starting last year at corner for us. And then the other position is kind of a battle between Landon Strilzik and Mark Torpy. Is that we're excited about both those guys. And we don't have a lot of kids right now that we have on campus. We got Nick Love, who will be a senior, that is also playing in the secondary. But we don't have a lot of guys right now on campus. Is that we'll have more next year, but the kids we have are really, really good players.
Well, one thing that I wanted to talk about is you're kind of getting towards the end of the year now, and the guys are trying to stay mentally sharp, but also start thinking about summer. How do you keep them engaged, and what's that process like throughout the entire year to make sure that the football guys are staying gelled together and staying active with their mind?
Well, I really believe this, Jared, is that if I kind of have this triangle, and if I put, I'll use my wife as an example, is if my wife and I are at the bottom of the triangle and we put Jesus up here at the top of if we continue to grow, both of us in our relationships, we become closer together. But if I'm growing and my wife's not, or vice versa, is that we become further apart. And the neat thing we have at Bethel here is the spiritual component where we have Jesus as our foundation. And we're called in Hebrews to fix our eyes on Him. And if we're doing that, we take it off our own nasal gazers, my wife calls it, and we can look above, and that'll help us to grow. Is that I really believe, even though all our kids go and they go back to their hometowns, is that our team can still grow in the off season or the summertime when we're apart from one another, just because we have that foundation of Christ. And if we're all growing, we're growing spiritually together. Is that's going to bind us together. And plus, our kids are they're serious about wanting to be good, not just as football players, but as Christian men, as great students, and just great friendships within one another. So I think that's the neat thing about being at Bethel, is that our kids have a lot bigger picture than just football, is that they want to grow in all aspects of their life, and that's fun to be around. So.
Well, it's certainly exciting to hear, and we're excited to see what comes about this spring, and obviously then back on the football field this fall. But thanks a lot, Coach, for your time, and we'll be excited.
Hopefully we'll stay warm tonight.